If you took the promotion expecting to finally feel like a leader and instead you feel lost, this video is for you. Because what you're feeling isn't a character flaw. It's not proof that you made the wrong call. It's not proof that you shouldn't be a leader. It's a stage. And there are a lot of emotions that come throughout this stage of early leadership. In fact, every new manager I've worked with has landed in at least one of these stages with these emotions, and most land in all of them at some point. And there's one stage in particular that almost nobody names out loud, but almost all of us feel it when we're new leaders. I'll get to that one. The difference between managers who struggle for years and managers who settle into their role is this. The ones who settle in learn to understand and manage their emotions, and they don't let all of these emotions spill onto their teams. Today, I'm mapping out 7 emotions you're going to feel at some point in your early leadership career, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to do at each one to move through it. Hi, I'm Jen Arnold, and I help new leaders navigate the first people management role. Let's start with the best stage of all. Stage 1, excitement. You got a promotion. It felt like you attained something. You worked for it. You got your goal. When you got it, you kind of felt like, oh, people are seeing me. It's all clicking into place. So yes, be excited. But here's one thing to watch for. Excitement is also the stage where you could potentially make some missteps. When you're energized and excited, but you don't really know what you're doing yet, you can potentially make some poor decisions. You may say yes to everything. You may make promises before you understand what's going on. In an effort to prove yourself, you go in and demand everything be changed. I've seen people get these promotions and they come in so excited. They're like on cloud 9, even thinking, oh, I know everything. I'm going to make all these changes. And then by about week 4, the energy shifts. So enjoy the excitement. Try not to make these permanent decisions when you are excited and hyped up, but you don't really have a full picture of what you're walking into. The excitement is real. Enjoy it. But unfortunately, it doesn't last long. All right, stage 2. You're probably feeling some overwhelm. Nobody warned you you would feel like this, because if they did, you probably wouldn't have taken the job. You're in meetings and you don't know if you're supposed to be listening, making decisions, or what you're supposed to be doing. You have a team, but no one's really told you how to lead them. You're getting pulled in a million different directions, and none of them feel like your actual job. I recently spoke to a new manager, and here's what she said. On Friday, I was an individual contributor. On Monday, I was a leader. And as soon as she got in, it was like, bam, bam, bam. 10 things to download, a million emails. She was saying, what's going on? What exactly am I doing? But here's what I need you to hear. The overwhelm isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign of just being a new leader. And typically, no one's going to give you a roadmap on what to do. All right, so here's a fix for you. If you are feeling overwhelmed, you can go to your manager and ask a couple questions. First, ask your manager, what are my top 3 priorities that you need me to own right now? And this forces them to tell you what you should be working on, because you're not supposed to know. The other question to ask them is, hey, I know I heard you, these 3 priorities, got them. But when something else comes up, how do you want me to approach the prioritization? And have them answer that, because things will come up. And you've probably already seen it. So although you've got these 3 priorities, you're going to be pulled into things, meetings, committees, projects. So ask, when those come up, what do you want me to do? This conversation is not going to necessarily fix your overwhelm, but what it does is it gives you this North Star, this priority list. Because without that, you really can't orient yourself to what you're supposed to be doing. It's okay to ask for priorities. Here's the thing about overwhelm though. Most managers assume once they settle in, it gets easier. And yeah, of course it does. But then new emotions show up, and it may make you feel like you're a bad person. Stage 3, frustration. Where I see it most commonly is that your team isn't living up to your expectations. Their work's just, it's okay, but nothing like what you can do. They need so much from you. And you may be thinking, why do I have to keep telling adults what to do? But before you direct that frustration anywhere, I want you to ask yourself this. Have I clearly expressed my expectations for my team? All right, so this happens all the time. I coach new leaders and they come into me frustrated that their team members aren't doing what they should do. One came in and said, they just never meet deadlines. But when we got through the coaching, she never actually defined what the deadlines were. She just assumed they knew because she knew how to do it, but they didn't. Frustration is just unmet expectations. And sometimes you're the one who never set them. All right, here's a fix. Pick one behavior that's frustrating you right now. And I want you to ask yourself, have I defined the expectation? Have I demonstrated it? Have I given clear feedback on it? Because if the answer to any of those questions is no, that's where you start. Not with your frustration, but with the gap between what you expect and what you've told them. Set the bar for your team, role model where that bar is, and then hold them to it. But here's where it gets harder, because frustration points outward, but what comes next is inside, is inward. Stage 4, self-doubt or imposter syndrome. You may start questioning whether you're cut out for this. Maybe every decision feels harder than it should be. You second guess yourself before the meeting, during the meeting, and then again that night, lying awake wondering if you said the wrong thing. But here's what I know from working with new managers. The problem isn't having self-doubt. You're doing something new you're not supposed to know. Everyone has self-doubt. The problem is how you process it. Your team needs to see you make a decision. They don't need to see your process for making decisions. They don't need to see you make a perfect decision. So here's the fix. Internally, when you notice that doubt spiral start, ask yourself this: what happens if I just move forward? Not what could go wrong, but what happens if I take one step forward? 9 times out of 10, doing something is better than waiting for certainty. That will never come. When your team comes to you and they want direction on something, or they have a question that you can't answer, don't say to them, let me go ask my boss. Instead, say, let me think on that and get back to you. You don't have to guess just because you feel pressured. So just pause and figure out a plan. Now with your boss, lead with the solution. So don't go to your boss and say, hey, I'm not sure what to do with this. Can you tell me step by step what to do? Instead, spend a few minutes problem solving and coming up with a solution, and say to your boss, hey, here's what I'm thinking. Am I on the right track? Because your boss wants you to start solutioning through these things. If you go to your boss with solutions or next steps that they just need to say yay or nay to, you're going to be taken more seriously 30 seconds than most managers are in a few months. Your team doesn't need you to be certain. They just need you to make decisions and not waffle back and forth between the right move. Now, you'd think managing this internal doubt would be the hardest part. It's not. But first, if this is resonating with you, hit subscribe. This channel is built for managers who were handed a title and expected to figure it out on their own. I drop new episodes every week. On to the next stage. Stage 5, the emotion you may be feeling is disappointment. And this one hits from 3 different directions. Maybe you're disappointed in the role, in yourself. Maybe you're disappointed in the people above you. Disappointment is the stage where managing can start feeling lonely. So maybe you're looking up and you're saying, hey, my boss isn't giving me what I need. I don't see them. They don't give me feedback. They don't prioritize. I don't get any recognition. So perhaps you expected more from them. Looking on your team isn't where you hoped. You've given direction, you've given feedback, and it still feels like you're pushing a boulder uphill. Maybe you look around at you, the support system that your organization offers, peers, the training, it's not there, or it isn't enough. So here's the fix. You can't control what support you get, but you can control whether you ask for it. So be specific. Not, hey boss, I need some more support. Instead, say something like, I need clarity on that report that's due. I need feedback on how I'm doing in this area. I need you to have my back when that department's coming at me. Most managers never ask that directly, but the ones who do, they get a hell of a lot more than ones who don't. You can't control what support you get, but you can control whether you asked for it. And once you've been disappointed long enough by the role, by people around you, something quieter shows up. And this is the stage that I mentioned at the beginning and the one that people don't really talk about. Stage 6, regret. You may be saying, did I make a mistake taking this leadership role? And this is the one people don't feel like it's acceptable to say out loud. So you think it privately in the middle of the night when you wake up. Or you're talking to your friends over drinks about it. Maybe you're feeling it on Sunday night before the week starts, wondering if you should have just stayed as an individual contributor. But here's what I need you to hear. Regret is an emotion. It's not fact, and it's not a verdict. Because there is a difference between feeling uncomfortable and not liking something. So discomfort is just growing and learning and developing. It's hard, it's real, but it is fixable, it's learnable. It's the feeling of doing something you haven't done before, maybe badly, in front of people who are watching you. That's not a signal to get out of your role, that's just a signal that you're learning. But dislike is different. It's this sustained, consistent feeling that this role isn't for you, that managing people drains you in a way nothing else does, that you'd really rather be an individual contributor. See, both of these are valid, but they call for completely different responses. But before you treat regret as this factual verdict, ask yourself which one you're actually feeling. Are you just feeling like it's difficult right now? You're feeling like you don't know what you're doing? Or have you really tried managing and found like this isn't what I want? So first, figure out if you hate managing or you just haven't settled into your role yet. And then you can go to stage 7, which is ownership. So remember stage 1, when you're very excited about that promotion, you were going to just set the world on fire. Ownership is when you realize that, okay, I got this. I deserve the title and I'm willing to work at it so I can become better. Ownership doesn't mean you don't feel any of those feelings that I just walked through. It doesn't mean you have all the answers. It just means that you said, okay, leadership is not really a black and white situation, and I need to figure out how I can lead from where I am right now. Ownership means committing fully to the role. It means to stop being 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and go all in on becoming that manager that your team needs. But ownership can also mean deciding to leave intentionally with a plan, not because you're frustrated, but making a clear call that managing just isn't the path for you and choosing something else intentionally. Both of these paths can be ownership. So here's a question that you can sit with. Have you decided that you're committing to leadership? Owning being a leader isn't just deciding to stay in your role. It's deciding to commit to the role and to work at it, knowing it's not going to be easy. Here's what I want you to take away from everything I just described, all of the emotions. None of this makes you a bad manager. It makes you a completely normal human who is going through a different experience and one that you're not used to. The managers who get through these stages are the ones who recognize, hey, these are just emotions, and I need to figure out solutions to manage through them and taking that next step anyway. So if you're somewhere in the midst of these 7 emotions right now, that's what this channel is for. I put out new episodes every week on what nobody's going to teach you in your first management role. Subscribe so you don't miss them. And if you know another new manager who's somewhere in these emotions, trying to figure it out by themselves, send them this video. It might be exactly what they need to hear. Thanks for watching.